From the observation post aboard the diplomatic vessel ****, Commander Darrow watched the human ship approach. The sleek vessel moved with surprising grace for its size, gliding into the docking port with precision that even Talon pilots would respect. Darrow's scales itched beneath his formal armor, a sensation he hadn't felt since his first combat mission decades ago. "They're here," Second Commander Kippo announced, her violet eyes narrowing. "Just as scheduled. Punctuality. At least they possess one admirable trait," Darrow muttered. The Talon had monitored human communications for nearly a solar cycle before initiating contact. They had studied human warfare, technology, and social structures. The High Council had determined that humans, while technologically capable, lacked the strategic brilliance that had made the Talon hierarchy dominant across 3 star systems. "Remember the briefing," Darrow instructed his reception team. "These humans display emotions openly. Their faces change constantly. Do not interpret this as instability or weakness. It is simply their primitive nature." The airlock cycled open. Darrow expected a procession, perhaps a display of weapons or strength as most species attempted during first contact. Instead, just 3 figures entered the gleaming reception hall. 2 wore simple black uniforms with minimal insignia, security personnel based on their watchful posture. Between them walked a smaller figure in a blue uniform adorned with silver symbols around the collar. Captain Kim of the Earth Diplomatic Corps, the central human announced with a slight bow. "Thank you for receiving us, Commander Darrow." Darrow blinked his tertiary eyelids in surprise. The human was barely 2/3 his height. Where were the intimidating warriors they had observed in intercepted broadcasts? This Captain Kim had no visible augmentations, no imposing physique, just soft features and alert eyes that seemed to take in everything at once. "The Talon hierarchy welcomes potential allies," Darrow replied formally. "I trust your journey was without incident." Captain Kim extended a hand, the curious human greeting ritual that Talon intelligence had prepared them for. Darrow extended his scaled hand, feeling the strange warmth and softness of human skin. "Our journey was excellent," Kim replied. "Your star system is beautiful. The nebula surrounding your outer planets creates quite a spectacular view." The diplomatic team moved to the prepared conference area. The humans declined refreshments, another surprise to Darrow, who had been told humans frequently consumed nutrients during social interactions. "Let us discuss matters of mutual interest," Darrow began, activating the holographic display between them. "The Talon hierarchy controls this sector." He gestured to a swirling map of stars. "Your species has recently expanded to these outer systems. We propose a delineation of territories that will prevent any unfortunate overlap." Captain Kim nodded, face remaining neutral. "Reasonable. Though I note your proposed boundary places 3 resource-rich asteroids belts within your territory, despite their closer proximity to our colonies." Darrow hadn't expected the human to notice this subtle power grab so quickly. "The belts have been surveyed by our mining guilds for decades. We have historical claim." "Of course," Kim said, and then did something strange. The human's lips parted, revealing a row of flat teeth and what intelligence had identified as a smile, a supposed indicator of pleasure or amusement. Darrow found it unsettling. Why would the captain express pleasure at losing valuable resources? The negotiations continued through standard rotational periods. They discussed trade routes, cultural exchanges, and eventually, security protocols. This was where Darrow planned to implement the High Council's true objective: establishing surveillance over human operations while assessing their weaknesses. "For mutual protection," Darrow explained smoothly, "we propose providing military escorts for all trading vessels within shared space. Our cruisers are well equipped to handle pirates and other threats." Kim's face changed again. The smile remained, but something shifted in the eyes. The temperature in the room seemed to drop several degrees. "That's a generous offer, Commander," Kim said softly. "But perhaps we should start smaller. Escorts only upon request. After all, misunderstandings between species can have unfortunate consequences. The way Kim emphasized unfortunate sent another wave of itching through Darrow's scales. For a brief moment, he wondered if the translation systems had failed, conveying a threat where none existed. The hierarchy's protection is considerable, Darrow pressed. Your smaller vessels would benefit from our advanced defensive systems. Would they? Kim asked, head tilting slightly. Your generosity is noted, but humans have a saying. Trust is earned slowly but lost in an instant. The human captain's smile widened, eyes crinkling at the corners. Teeth gleamed under the blue lights of the reception hall. Something ancient and primal stirred in Darrow's mind, a recognition pattern he couldn't immediately place. We have brought a gift, Kim announced suddenly, gesturing to one of the guards who produced a small metallic cube. A cultural database containing human art, literature, and history. We believe understanding precedes true alliance. Darrow accepted the cube with formal gratitude, passing it to Kippo for immediate security scanning. The hierarchy appreciates this gesture. I particularly recommend the historical archives on human conflict resolution, Kim added, that strange smile never wavering. We've had a complex evolution as a species. As the meeting concluded, Captain Kim extended a hand again in farewell. I look forward to our next discussion, Commander Darrow. Until then, consider our proposal carefully. We believe there's room enough for both our peoples to thrive without stepping on each other's toes. Metaphorically speaking, of course. The human delegation departed with minimal ceremony. Darrow watched through the observation port as their vessel detached and glided away, its engines flaring to life with surprising power for a diplomatic craft. Begin analysis of their gift immediately, Darrow ordered, and prepare a full report on human facial expressions, particularly this smiling behavior. Later that night, in his private quarters, Darrow reviewed the initial cultural database. He found himself lingering on ancient human military history, accounts of smaller forces defeating larger ones through deception, patience, and unconventional tactics. One particular image caught his attention, a predator from Earth's history, jaws open to reveal sharp teeth in what looked remarkably like Captain Kim's expression. The ancient warning system in Darrow's brain finally made the connection. What he had witnessed wasn't submission or pleasure. It was a predator's assessment, a warning. And that was when everything began to go wrong for the Talon. Admiral Miro's scaled hand slammed onto the war table, sending holographic star charts flickering. The 11 members of the Talon War Council turned their attention to the Admiral, their tertiary eyelids blinking in synchronized agitation. Commander Darrow's concerns are noted and dismissed, Admiral Miro announced, his voice echoing through the chamber. These humans bare their teeth as a social gesture, not as a threat. Our xenopsychologists have confirmed this repeatedly. Commander Darrow stood his ground despite the Admiral's dismissal. 3 solar cycles had passed since the initial diplomatic meeting with the humans, and something about Captain Kim's parting expression continued to haunt him. The human captain's expressions change when we discussed military escort of their vessels, Darrow insisted. The smile remained, but something in their eyes shifted. I believe they recognize our true intentions. General Tomei, decorated veteran of the Proxima campaign, laughed. The sound was hollow and metallic, amplified by the chamber's acoustics. Her battle medals clinked against her ceremonial armor as she leaned forward. Commander Darrow grows timid in his old age, she remarked to scattered laughter. When did you become so cautious, old friend? Our ships outgunned theirs 3-1. Our tactical systems have analyzed their movement patterns across 3 star systems. They're predictable, like most young species. The War Council continued its planning session. Tactical displays showed human colony worlds outlined in red, primary targets for the first phase of protective occupation. The Council had agreed weeks ago that humans possessed valuable resources and technology, but lacked the strategic vision to properly utilize them. The Talon hierarchy would remedy this inefficiency. We will position battle groups here, and here, General Tomi indicated, marking key strategic points. The humans will interpret this as routine patrol movements. They'll never suspect our true purpose until we've established orbital dominance over their primary colonies. Darrow remained silent for the remainder of the meeting, watching his colleagues plan what they believed would be an easy conquest. When finally dismissed, he returned to his quarters aboard the command vessel **** and replayed the recordings of the diplomatic meeting once more. Captain Kim's voice echoed from the playback. "We believe there's room enough for both our peoples to thrive without stepping on each other's toes. Metaphorically speaking, of course." Something about the phrasing troubled him. Darrow paused the recording and focused on the human's expression. The smile appeared friendly on the surface, but the eyes remained watchful, calculating. "We humans have a saying, Commander. Appearances can be deceiving." The door chime interrupted his thoughts. "Enter," Darrow commanded. Intelligence Officer Hannah stepped inside, carrying a data crystal. Unlike most Talon military personnel, her scales were a muted gray, a genetic modification common among intelligence operatives designed to suppress emotional coloration changes. "Commander, I've been analyzing the cultural database provided by the humans," she said, activating the crystal in his terminal. "I found something interesting in their evolutionary history." Images of ancient humans appeared on the display, primitive versions running across open plains. "Did you know they evolved as persistence predators?" Hannah asked. Unlike other apex predators that rely on speed or strength for quick kills, humans literally chased prey until it collapsed from exhaustion. They can regulate body temperature through sweating and maintain pursuit for days if necessary. Darrow studied the images with newfound interest. What relevance does ancient history have to our current situation? "Their smiles, sir." Hannah brought up comparative images of human expressions alongside predatory animals from Earth. Originally, baring teeth was a threat display, showing weapons to intimidate rivals or prey. Over time, smiling evolved additional social meanings, but the predatory origin remains. She displayed footage from historical human conflicts. Humans often announced their intentions obliquely. They warned potential adversaries through subtle cues rather than direct threats. It's deeply ingrained in their diplomatic approach. A predator that announces its intentions before attacking. "That seems counterproductive," Darrow observed. "Not for social predators, sir. Warnings minimize unnecessary conflict. They're effectively saying, 'I can hurt you, so don't force me to.' Captain Kim was warning us." Darrow felt his scales prickle again. The High Council believes we can easily contain human expansion. That their technology, while impressive, is no match for our military experience. "The Council might be underestimating human adaptability," Hannah suggested carefully. "They've advanced faster than any species we've encountered. Their history shows remarkable capacity for innovation during conflict." Through the viewport, Darrow could see the human diplomatic vessel maintaining its designated position near the Talon fleet. Its sleek design revealed little about its capabilities, another concerning factor. Most species proudly displayed their technological achievements, but humans kept their advancements oddly concealed. "Continue your analysis, Officer Hannah. I want everything on human conflict strategies, particularly regarding technologically superior opponents." "Yes, Commander," she replied, hesitating at the door. "There's one more thing, sir. Human diplomatic vessels typically carry minimal defense systems, but energy readings from Captain Kim's ship suggest significantly higher power reserves than reported." After Hannah departed, Darrow spent the night studying human military history. The more he learned, the more his concerns grew. Humans had a troubling pattern of absorbing attacks, adapting rapidly, then counterattacking with unexpected strategies. Their persistence predator evolution had shaped not just their bodies but their approach to warfare. At dawn cycle, alarms blared throughout the command vessel. Darrow rushed to the command center, finding tactical officers in a state of confusion. "Report," he ordered. "The human diplomatic vessel has changed course, Commander," the sensor officer announced. They've accelerated away from our fleet without warning or communication. Track them, Darrow commanded. Unable to comply, they've engaged some form of stealth technology we haven't seen before. Their signal disappeared near the outer asteroid belt. Admiral Miro entered the command center, his scales flushed with anger. What's happening? Darrow turned to his superior officer, the realization settling like a cold weight in his stomach. They've detected our true intentions. Admiral, Captain Kim never believed our diplomatic overtures. They were assessing our capabilities while we thought we were assessing theirs. Impossible, Miro dismissed. They're retreating, nothing more. But Darrow knew better. The humans hadn't been fooled by Talon deception. The smile wasn't submission. It was a predator's warning. And now, the hunt had begun. Prepare the fleet for possible engagement, Darrow ordered, ignoring Miro's protests. I believe we've gravely misunderstood the species we're dealing with. The 3 Talon battlecruisers emerged from hyperspace in perfect formation near Beltar IV. Their sleek, bone-white hulls caught the light of the distant sun, making them look like predatory fish in the dark ocean of space. Commander Darrow stood on the bridge of the flagship ***, his posture rigid and his scales dulled to a professional gray. Target in visual range, announced the tactical officer. Human outpost confirmed on the smaller moon. On the main view screen, a modest installation came into view. It appeared to be a simple mining operation with atmospheric processors extending from the surface like giant fingers reaching toward space. Intelligence had classified it as a low-priority civilian target, perfect for what Admiral Miro called a simple demonstration of Talon resolve. Darrow knew the truth. This mission was both punishment and test. His continued warnings about human capabilities had irritated the High Council. Either he would lead this attack and prove his loyalty, or he would fail and justify his removal from command. Standard approach vector, Darrow ordered, hiding his reluctance behind military precision. Weapons systems at ready status. Communications prepare the demand for surrender. The 3 battlecruisers moved forward in the classic Talon spearhead formation that had broken the will of 6 different species across 3 star systems. Behind him, Darrow sensed the confidence of his crew. They had done this before. The humans would submit or be destroyed. It was the way of the hierarchy. Commander, Second Commander Kipo's voice carried an unusual note of concern. I'm detecting unusual energy readings from the outpost. Darrow moved to her station, studying the sensor readings with growing alarm. Magnify Visual, Section 3. The view screen zoomed in on the atmospheric processors. As they watched, the massive structures began to rotate, panels sliding away to reveal what had been hidden beneath. Those aren't atmospheric processors, Darrow realized aloud. They're weapon emplacements. Before he could order evasive action, brilliant blue energy beams lanced out from the moon's surface. With surgical precision, they struck the lead battlecruiser's propulsion systems. The massive vessel shuddered and began to drift. Evasive maneuvers, Darrow shouted. Battle stations, return fire. The *** banked hard, its inertial dampeners struggling to compensate. The crew scrambled to battle positions as alarm klaxons wailed throughout the ship. The 3rd cruiser in their formation attempted to target the lunar installation, but more energy beams struck its weapons array, disabling it before it could fire. They knew exactly where to hit us, Kipo observed, her scales flushing purple with stress. Those weren't random shots. Communications being overridden, another officer announced. Incoming transmission from. The officer paused in confusion. From the human diplomatic vessel. The main view screen changed to show a familiar face. Captain Kim sat in what appeared to be a command chair, wearing the same blue uniform from their diplomatic meeting. The human's expression was calm, with that same unsettling smile that had haunted Darrow's thoughts. Commander Darrow. Kim greeted him as casually as if they were continuing their conversation from days before. I tried to warn you. We noticed your scan patterns weeks ago. Did you really think we'd leave an outpost undefended? Darrow's tertiary eyelids flicked rapidly in surprise. Captain Kim, this is a military operation. Remove yourself from this channel. The human smile widened slightly. I'm afraid I can't do that, Commander. You see, I'm not just a diplomatic envoy. Command of this sector's defense falls under my jurisdiction. Tactical, Darrow called out. Locate the source of this transmission. Unable to comply. The tactical officer replied, confusion evident in his voice. Signal is being bounced through multiple relays. On screen, Captain Kim leaned forward slightly. Your ships are surrounded, Commander. I suggest you power down your weapons systems before this becomes unnecessarily messy. Surrounded, Darrow scoffed. Our sensors detect no other vessels in this system. Your sensors, Kim replied calmly, like your intelligence about our outpost, are incomplete. As if responding to an unspoken command, the tactical display before Darrow began updating with new contacts. 5, then 7, then 12 human vessels appeared on the screen, emerging from what should have been empty space around Beltar IV's other moons. Stealth technology, Kaipo whispered. They were there all along. The human vessels were smaller than the Talon battlecruisers, but they moved with precise coordination, quickly forming a containment pattern around the Talon ships. Their design was unlike anything in the hierarchy database. Angular where Talon ships were curved, with no obvious weapons emplacements yet radiating power signatures that suggested significant combat capability. Impossible, the tactical officer muttered. We've been monitoring this system for weeks. Nothing could have hidden from our sensor suites. And yet, Darrow said quietly, here they are. On screen, Captain Kim waited patiently, that predatory smile never wavering. Your lead vessel's life support is intact, but they've lost propulsion and weapons. Your third ship has lost weapons capability, but retains maneuverability. Your flagship, the ****, correct, remains combat capable, but I think you can appreciate your tactical situation. Darrow studied the display. The human was right. Even if the *** could destroy several human vessels, they would never escape the engagement. The expected simple victory had become a devastating trap. What are your terms? Darrow asked, ignoring the shocked expressions of his bridge crew. Reasonable ones, Kim replied. Power down your weapons. Prepare to receive boarding parties who will escort your ships back to Talon space. Your wounded will receive medical attention. No prisoners will be taken, but the hierarchy will agree to cease all military operations against human settlements. Darrow felt a cold realization wash over him. This wasn't just a tactical defeat, it was a message. The humans could have destroyed all 3 battlecruisers, but chose not to. They were demonstrating restraint while simultaneously revealing their superior capabilities. And if we refuse? Darrow asked, though he already knew the answer. Captain Kim's smile faded for the first time. Then we demonstrate what these ships can really do. And none of you return to Talon space. Please don't force that choice, Commander. Darrow looked around his bridge, at the crew that had served with him through countless campaigns. He thought of the warnings he had given the High Council, warnings they had dismissed. He thought of Captain Kim's words at their first meeting. Misunderstandings between species can have unfortunate consequences. Power down weapons, Darrow ordered, his voice steady. Prepare to receive boarding parties. As the human transmission ended, Darrow understood at last what Captain Kim's smile had truly meant. It was not weakness or primitive emotional display. It was not even simple confidence. It was the calm certainty of a predator that already knew exactly how the hunt would end. The emergency meeting of the Talon War Council looked nothing like its previous sessions. Gone were the confident postures and easy dismissals of human capabilities. The Grand Chamber, with its ancient stone carvings celebrating Talon military victories, now felt like a mausoleum rather than a war room. Only 7 council members remained where once 11 had sat. 2 had been relieved of duty after the Beltar IV disaster. One had taken her own life rather than face disgrace. The final empty seat belonged to General Pora, whose battle group had surrendered to human forces without firing a single shot. Admiral Miro, once the embodiment of Talon military confidence, stared blankly at the tactical displays showing the rapidly changing situation across 3 star systems. His scales had dulled to a sickly gray, and the ceremonial armor that had once gleamed now looked heavy on his frame. "Half our fleet is disabled or has retreated," he said quietly. 3 colony worlds have formally requested human protection instead of ours. The hierarchy is fracturing. Commander Darrow sat silently, feeling no satisfaction in having his warnings proven correct. Intelligence Officer Hannah stood at the center of the chamber, presenting her findings. "Humans evolved to read micro-expressions," she explained, displaying biological scans of human facial musculature. "Their social development required them to detect deception through tiny facial movements that we don't even realize we're making." She brought up comparison footage of Talon delegates during the initial diplomatic meetings. "Our negotiators believed their expressions were neutral, but to human observers, they were broadcasting our intentions clearly. Our slight scale patterns, eye movements, and posture shifts, all of it was readable to them. They knew our intentions from the first meeting," Darrow added. "Captain Kim wasn't just a diplomatic representative. They were assessing our threat level while appearing cooperative." Hannah nodded. "Their diplomatic corps apparently trains extensively in game theory and strategic deception. What we took as simple trade representatives were actually tactical analysts with military backgrounds. They'd been 10 steps ahead since first contact." She displayed intercepted communications between human vessels. "Their entire approach to interspecies relations is shaped by their evolutionary history as social predators. They prefer alliance to conflict but prepare for the latter while pursuing the former." General Tomei, the last of the old guard besides Admiral Miro, suddenly slammed her fist on the ancient table. The impact sent cracks through the stone surface. "We still outnumber them," she shouted, scales flushing bright red with anger. "If we consolidate our remaining forces, we can overwhelm their defensive positions and—" "No," a new voice interrupted. All heads turned to see Second Commander Kippo entering the chamber, her uniform disheveled from what appeared to be recent space travel. She carried a data crystal in her hand, its blue light pulsing between her scaled fingers. "2 more battle groups have defected to human protection," she announced, inserting the crystal into the central display. "The 7th Fleet near the Proxima boundary, and the 3rd Defense Cluster orbiting Meridian Prime." The council chamber erupted in shouts and denials. Admiral Miro rose shakily to his feet. "Defected? Impossible. The captains of those vessels are loyal to the hierarchy. They would never. They've already done it." Kaipo interrupted, her voice steady despite the chaos. "The humans are offering technological exchange and autonomy to our colony worlds, things we never gave our protected territories." The tactical display updated to show the new reality. The once dominant Talon military presence was now fragmented across the sector, with human forces positioned between the remaining loyal units. "The humans haven't fired on any vessel that didn't fire first," Kaipo continued. "They're broadcasting messages to all our colonies offering alliance rather than subjugation. Many are responding favorably." General Tomei's scales darkened with rage. "This is treason. Those ship commanders should be executed immediately." "With what forces?" Darrow asked quietly. "We can barely hold our central systems now." The council meeting dissolved into bitter arguments and recriminations. Darrow slipped away, returning to his temporary quarters in the capital city. The room was sparse, a military officer's accommodation with little comfort. He sat before his communication terminal, considering his options. After a long moment, he activated a secure channel, one provided by the humans, after the Beltar IV incident. He didn't expect it to work from the heart of Talon space, but the connection established immediately, suggesting human communication technology far exceeded Talon estimates. "You knew what we were planning all along," Darrow said simply when the channel opened. The reply was immediate. Captain Kim's face appeared on the screen, the background suggesting a command center of some kind. The human wore the same blue uniform, but now with additional markings of rank. That now familiar smile appeared, but somehow different, less predatory, more contemplative. "We've encountered species like yours before, Commander," Kim said. "Those who mistake diplomacy for weakness, who interpret a smile as submission rather than warning. Why not simply destroy our forces?" Darrow asked. "You clearly have the capability." "To what end?" Kim replied. "Dead Talons can't become allies. We prefer cooperation when possible." "The High Council will never surrender," Darrow warned. "Their pride won't allow it." "Pride is a luxury of the powerful," Kim observed. "Reality has a way of adjusting expectations." The communication ended without formal conclusion. Darrow lay awake through the night cycle, his mind racing with possibilities and contingencies. Perhaps there was still a way to salvage something from this disaster. Not victory, but survival with dignity. When morning came, the capital was in chaos. Darrow rushed to the council chamber only to find it nearly empty. Admiral Miro sat alone at the great table, staring at nothing. "They're gone," Miro said without looking up. "General Tomi tried to launch a last strike against the human diplomatic vessel. Her ship never made it out of orbit." "And the others?" Darrow asked. "Fled or surrendered," Miro replied. "It's over, Commander." The Admiral's communication device chimed. He activated it without interest, then froze at the message displayed. "Human ships have surrounded the capital," he whispered. "Hundreds of them, in high orbit. They appeared out of nowhere." Commander Darrow moved to the viewport and looked up at the morning sky. Though he couldn't see them, he knew they were there, watching, waiting, their weapon systems powered but not targeting. Not yet. He understood then the full psychology of the predator he faced. Humans didn't need to destroy their enemies. They simply needed to demonstrate the absolute futility of resistance, then offer a reasonable alternative. "We should contact Captain Kim," Darrow said, turning back to Admiral Miro. "I believe they'll be expecting our call." Commander Darrow had never seen anything like the human flagship Horizon *. Unlike Talon vessels with their organic curves and bone-white surfaces, the Horizon * combined angular precision with surprising warmth. The conference room where he sat featured actual wood, a precious material harvested from living organisms, alongside advanced technology that seemed to blend seamlessly with the natural elements. Captain Kim entered without ceremonial announcement. The human wore a formal uniform with new insignia that Intelligence Officer Hannah had identified as indicating promotion. Darrow rose from his seat, performing the traditional Talon greeting gesture despite the circumstances. "Thank you for agreeing to these discussions, Commander," Kim said, taking a seat across the polished table. Two aides, one human, one surprisingly from a species allied with the Talon, placed data tablets before them, and then quietly left the room. "I was not aware I had a choice," Darrow replied carefully. "There are always choices," Kim said, "though some are better than others." The human activated the tablet, bringing up detailed terms of the proposed agreement. Darrow had expected harsh demands: resource appropriation, territorial concessions, possibly even conscription of Talon ships into human fleets. Instead, he found himself surprised by what he read. "Unconditional surrender is not required," Captain Kim explained. "We propose a supervised disarmament of your military forces and restructuring of your hierarchy to give member worlds more autonomy." Darrow's scales shifted to a deeper blue, a sign of confusion that he couldn't suppress. "That would destroy our entire social order," he protested, though without much conviction. Even as he spoke, he recognized the hollowness of his own words. "Your social order was already destroying itself, Commander Darrow," Kim said gently. "Half your fleet has already joined our alliance. 3 of your colony worlds have requested human protection. The old hierarchy is finished, regardless of what we agree to today. Darrow studied the human's face, searching for signs of deception or triumph. He found neither. Captain Kim's expression remained neutral, with no hint of the predatory smile that had warned of danger during their first meeting. "Why such generous terms?" Darrow asked finally. "You could demand much more." "What purpose would that serve?" Kim replied. "Humiliating a defeated enemy only ensures they will seek revenge when they recover their strength. We prefer lasting peace to temporary victory." Over the next 3 days, Darrow worked with the human diplomatic team to finalize the agreement. What surprised him most was not the defeat, but the lack of humiliation that followed. The humans didn't parade captured officers or demand tribute. They offered cultural exchange, technological collaboration, and protection against mutual threats lurking in the darker regions of the galaxy. The final terms included provisions for Talon cultural preservation and gradual integration into the growing alliance of species that humans had assembled. Colony worlds would receive the right to determine their own affiliation, but none would face abandonment or resource exploitation. When the agreement was signed, there was no grand ceremony, no triumphant speeches, just the quiet understanding that something had ended and something new had begun. 6 lunar cycles later, Commander Darrow found himself in an entirely unexpected role. The traditional Talon ambassador robes felt strange after decades in military armor, but he wore them with growing comfort as he prepared for his first official function in human space. He had been appointed as the first Talon ambassador to the Human Alliance. More surprisingly, Captain Kim, now Admiral Kim, had specifically requested him for the position. "You were the only one who saw it," the Admiral explained during their first official meeting in the Grand Embassy building on Earth. "You recognized something in my expression that day when all your colleagues saw only what they expected to see." The humans' office overlooked a vast ocean, with strange flying creatures soaring past the windows. The sight reminded Darrow of ancient Talon myths about the afterlife. Peaceful, but vibrant with life. "I sensed danger," Darrow admitted, "but I didn't understand it." "Humans smile for many reasons, Ambassador Darrow," Admiral Kim said, pouring 2 glasses of water. A simple gesture of hospitality that carried deeper meaning between their species. Joy, amusement, friendship, and yes, sometimes, as a warning. "Your species is more complex than our intelligence suggested," Darrow acknowledged, accepting the water with a slight bow. "As is yours," the Admiral replied. "Your warning to your council about our capabilities showed remarkable perception. Had they listened, perhaps events would have unfolded differently." "Perhaps," Darrow agreed. "Though I'm not certain the outcome would have changed, only the path to reach it." Admiral Kim smiled then. That same expression that had once triggered ancient warning systems in Darrow's mind. But this time, something had changed. Darrow didn't feel that ancestral dread. Instead, he attempted to mirror the expression, feeling his face form unfamiliar shapes as his lipless mouth stretched in approximation of the human gesture. "Your smile is improving," the Admiral noted with approval. "I'm learning that appearances can indeed be deceiving," Darrow replied. "But sometimes they can also reveal unexpected truths." The following years brought rapid change to both societies. Talon colony worlds flourished under their new autonomy while maintaining cultural ties to their homeworld. Human technological innovation accelerated with the addition of Talon biological engineering expertise. Ships bearing crews of both species began exploring regions of space previously considered too dangerous for either to venture alone. Not all Talons accepted the new order. A faction of military hardliners attempted a coup against the reformed government, seeking to restore the old hierarchy. The rebellion might have succeeded had not human special forces arrived unexpectedly to support the new Talon leadership. The sight of humans fighting alongside Talons to preserve Talon independence did more to cement the alliance than any diplomatic agreement could have achieved. On the 10th anniversary of the peace accords, Ambassador Darrow stood on the observation deck of the new joint headquarters station orbiting a neutral star. Beside him, Admiral Kim watched as ships from 27 species participated in a ceremonial formation flight. "Did you know this would happen?" Darrow asked, gesturing to the magnificent display of interspecies cooperation. "When you first smiled at me across that conference table, did you see this future?" "No one can see that far ahead," Kim admitted. "But I hoped. Sometimes hope is enough to begin." In the decades that followed, the Talon-Human alliance became a cornerstone of galactic stability, a model for how former enemies could become essential partners. And it all began because a human captain smiled. And everything went wrong for the Talons in exactly the right way.